Owl, also known as Leland Owlsley, is a human mutate. His team affiliations include the Owl Gang, Gang of Four, and the Sinister 16. His abilities include an extremely skilled criminal organizer and money launderer, superhuman sight and hearing, enhanced strength, resiliency and resistance, reflexes and reactions, endurance, hollow bones, natural razor-sharp fangs and talons, along with attachment devices, and the ability to glide short distances.
Leland Owlsley was once a successful financier and financial investor, nicknamed the Owl of Wall Street for his financial wisdom until evidence of his tax evasion and crooked business deals were exposed by the IRS. Rather than fight the charges, he took up residence in a hideout across the Hudson River and pursued a new career as a crime lord. The Owl had already been pooling a percentage of his earnings into researching super-powered enhancements, and by this time, these efforts had yielded a serum which gave him the ability to fly.
He subsequently employed 2 enforcers and captured Daredevil in a chance encounter, planning to kill him at a meeting of underworld bosses in order to make himself the undisputed overlord of crime. However, Daredevil escaped and confronted the Owl in battle. Eventually determining that he could not defeat Daredevil unarmed and alone, he fled, escaping his foe in the river.
When he came to shore, Owl was captured by the police, convicted and sentenced to prison. Following an escape, the Owl established a new hideout on a volcanic island and kidnapped the judge who sentenced him, Judge Lewis, as well as Matt Murdock, forcing them to participate in a sham trial, with Lewis as the defendant. Amazingly enough, Daredevil arrived and stopped the mock trial.
The Owl's second confrontation with his nemesis ended in a draw, and both were forced to flee the erupting island. He was later freed from prison by Mr. Klein, who ordered him to capture Daredevil. The Owl lured Daredevil into combat and defeated him, sending him plummeting to his death.
However, Daredevil was saved by the Black Widow, and the two of them worked together to capture the Owl when his gang broke into the San Francisco treasury.
The Owl then moved to Chicago and acquired the technology to drain human brains of knowledge and battled the Cat. The Owl returned to San Francisco and briefly captured Daredevil and the Black Widow. The Owl was later stricken with a debilitating ailment resulting in the paralysis of his legs.
He returned to New York and recruited the Man-Bull.
The Owl attempted to kidnap a neurologist to cure his ailment, but was foiled by Daredevil. The Owl was later rescued by his henchmen and fitted with a neurological pacemaker to cure his ailment. He battled Daredevil and Spider-Man and was incapacitated when his pacemaker short-circuited.
The Owl was confined to a life support module designed by the Maggia. He schemed to loot New York under cover of a citywide blackout, but was captured by Spider-Man, the Black Widow, and Simon Stroud. No longer confined to the module, the Owl later engaged in a gang war against Dr. Octopus in an attempt to usurp the Kingpin's position as the crime boss of New York's underworld.
The Owl encountered Spider-Man and the Black Cat and was beaten by Dr. Octopus. The Owl was later mystically summoned to Winnipeg, Canada, by Lon the Sorcerer. There, he battled Alpha Flight and Gamma Flight with Necra, the Asp, and the Scorpion.
The Owl was later among the criminals assembled by Dr. Doom to battle the Fantastic Four in Washington, D.C. Over the years, the Owl has become less human as a result of bizarre experiments he has subjected himself to in efforts to improve his natural ability to glide and repair damage to his spine that rendered him paraplegic. The Owl once needed to use an exoskeleton to walk, but has since recovered from this injury.
The Owl started to re-establish his presence in the criminal underworld with the absence of the Kingpin. When Spider-Man visits him regarding information about the kidnapping of May Parker, the Owl says that Electro and the Vulture kidnapped her. This turns out to be a ploy by the Owl, who is after the two criminals, hiring the Black Cat to find them for stealing from him.
He began to enlarge his criminal empire by refining mutant growth hormones from his own genetic material, though Daredevil was able to get him arrested. He managed to manipulate behind the scenes and get the Kingpin arrested for a past murder when it looked like Fisk was going to make a deal with the FBI. The deal in question involved Matt Murdock being arrested for the ridiculous accusation of being Daredevil.
When Foggy Nelson, representing Murdock in court, visited him in jail, he was apparently killed by the other prisoners. The Owl later taunted Murdock about this, and Murdock, who had become unhinged due to his friend's death, brutally beat the Owl. Unbeknownst to the two of them, Foggy was alive at the time and in witness protection.
Later, the Owl escaped prison and stole Deathlock from S.H.I.E.L.D, killing 4 agents in the process. He sets up an auction in hopes of selling him off to the highest bidder to other supercriminals. However, he did not ask permission of the Hood, the self-established kingpin of supercriminals, and the Hood subsequently stole Deathlock from the Owl and shot the Owl.
The Owl has since then appeared in police custody. He was subsequently freed by the Kingpin, who sought to employ him as part of his plan to take revenge on the Hand. He took Dakota North captive, and implied he would torture and sexually assault her in order to get information on Daredevil, who then appeared, and cut every nerve in both his arms and legs using a sword the Owl had tried to attack him with.
Members of Owl's gang were shown fighting in a gang war with the Magia at a scrapyard. Hammerhead shot the gang while Silvermane was fed to a metal crusher. It was later revealed that Owl received his henchmen from Taskmaster, who had trained them.
Owl was next seen purchasing a product called Ebony, which came from the glands of Corruptor. He planned to synthesize it into a street drug only for Daredevil to arrive and steal it. Owl attended a circus with Kingpin, Madame Mask, Tombstone, and Hammerhead when Hawkeye stole their money.
Owl's gang later ended up in a gunfight with a gang led by the 3rd White Dragon.
Both Owl and White Dragon were brutally beaten up by the superior Spider-Man. The remainder of Owl's gang fled, and were recruited by Goblin King to join the Goblin Nation. The Sinister Six, consisting of Boomerang, Overdrive, Shocker, Speed Demon, and Beetle, assaulted Owl's base.
Overdrive and Speed Demon were captured by Owl and interrogated. Beetle tried to blackmail the Owl into releasing them, while covertly dialing for backup. Unimpressed, the Owl got ready to execute her when reinforcements arrived in the form of Tombstone, who was then revealed to be Beetle's father.
After a series of failures, Boomerang teams up with the Owl and forms the Sinister 16 in order to retrieve the picture of Dr. Doom that the former had stolen a few days before, and that was now in the hands of the Chameleon. The lineup consisted of the dregs of the underworld that Boomerang used as cannon fodder so that he could retrieve the painting. The Owl has ingested a special serum which enabled him to naturally glide for short distances, though he has to leap from a height of at least 20 feet off of the ground to do so.
He is able to perform complex midair maneuvers while he glides, which would be impossible for ordinary humans. The Owl's gliding ability is assisted by a weak psionic ability to levitate his body. Under the right conditions, such as favorable air currents, the Owl can glide for at least the length of a city block.
He uses specially designed capes to allow him to do this. His bones are hollow, and he possesses a greater proportionate muscle mass than normal humans. Though the Owl only exercises moderately, his strength, endurance, resistance, and resiliency to injury and fatigue, and reflexes and reactions are enhanced as a result of his mutation. He is physically stronger and tougher than any Olympic weightlifter. His vision and hearing are superhumanly acute, his head can rotate 180 degrees, and his eyes can move independently of each other in their own sockets, and have greater visual range than an ordinary human.
His teeth and nails are essentially fangs and talons, which can tear through human flesh with relative ease. Most of his adversaries assume that he is just a normal human, as he almost never engages in physical struggles. He relegates this to his underlings, like the Vulture and Electro. Over the years, the owl has taken a number of experimental drugs and subjected himself to experimental surgical procedures to increase his ability to glide.
These experiments have met with mixed results, and a byproduct of them is that he has been mutagenically altered in a way that has negatively affected his sanity and made him more animal-like. For instance, he enjoys eating live mice with his vintage $600 wine. The owl wears a set of metal razor-sharp steel tool talons attached to each forearm, closely resembling Wolverine's claws, and a specially designed cape designed to resemble an owl's outstretched wings to assist him in steering during flight, and often uses various other bird-themed weapons and pieces of equipment. This special equipment was designed for him by the Tinkerer. Although the owl is somewhat deranged, he is an extremely skilled criminal organizer and money launderer. For some time, the owl was unable to stand or walk without a special leg brace exoskeleton.